It's another day in the workshop, and today I'm tapering Tangs of this batch of classics. I won't do a video on tapering Tangs. I've already done some good videos on that, and I'll put a link up in the box up here, so click on that to take you to that video if you want to see that. But I'll just run you through briefly what it entails. So this is a knife that I've hollowed out. First of all, what I've done, I've measured where the centre line is on the back, and then I've measured equidistant of that centre line to the depth that I want my taper to end at, and then I've hollow ground. You can just see, yeah, you can just see on the end, the very end. Yeah, I think you can just see on the very end there where I've put a mark, a datum to where I can grind to, and then I form this hollow. I hollow out all the way up the tang. And then what that does, that gives me two tram lines to run along and helps keep the taper flat. And then flipping it over, this one is one I've chased up now, and you see that I've gone all the way up to this point here. Eventually I'll go over to a finer belt and I'll take it on a bit higher up and probably end the taper around about here. And that's how you taper a tang. This is a tang that I've now finished tapering, so you can see what it's done. It's gone down from the thickness of the stock here down to about just under 2mm at the back. So effectively, a question I get asked whenever I mention tapered tangs, I always get asked the question, what's the benefit of a tapered tang? And I've answered the question hundreds of times. But anyway, someone will watch the video and will be wondering that. So it's basically, what it does, it removes steel from the back of the knife, which improves the balance of the knife. Aesthetically, it improves the look of the knife. Does it make the knife any weaker? Some people say it makes the knife weaker. If you're going to use the knife for its designed purpose, that is, you know, for bushcraft use, for a little bit of lightweight battening and average cutting tasks, which a bushcraft knife is designed to do, no, you're not going to notice any. It's not made the knife any weaker if you're using the knife for its designed purpose. And all the strength that you need is all up here anyway, so it just really affects the balance and the aesthetics of the knife. Some people prefer a straight tang with the full thickness all the way through, but it's personal choice really at the end of the day. I think a tapered tang just shows off the knife maker's craft a bit more, perhaps. It's not a difficult process to do, although if you get it wrong, obviously you scrap the knife. But I've done hundreds and hundreds of them now, so it's a fairly easy process for me to do now. To get things properly flat, we're back to the good old Corian block, a piece of abrasive. This is a piece of 150 grit. And then I'll flatten off that. You see me do that process, I think, in the last video, but I'll also flatten off the taper. So that is the knife, tapered Tang, and finished 250 grit at the moment. I'll take this up to 600 grit on the flats here before I grind the bevels. Well, on to bevel grinding now. I do use a jig for most of my bevel grinding. I find for consistency you get more consistent and accurate results with a jig, and it's faster as well. I have freehand in the past, but the problem is if you have a layup for a little while, then when you go back you're not always as consistent as you want to be, and you've only got to be off a little bit and your bevel is off, you know. So so I do use a jig, and all my jig is a piece of angled aluminium with some plastic on the base to help it slide a bit better. A couple of little locating screws. And I simply put the blade on with a G-clamp. The angle is set on the platen, and run the blade. This is a part 136 grit, so it'll run quite cool. I've got a bucket of water down there to catch the sparks, and also for dipping the blade in, because we don't want the blade to get overheated anymore. We can't afford that to get any heat in it, because it will ruin the temper of the blade. The angle of the platen is set up using, I use one of these little sort of compass sort of protractor, electric protractor if you like. There's all the knives. They've all been ground to a 36 grit. It's a very coarse grind to start off with, of course, and I've ground so that is a very coarse burr, a very strong burr as well. So I know I've got, you know, I've got the edge there. The next thing is to progress through the grits: 80, 120. 220, 240, 320, 400 and onwards, and then that'll be the bevels grind. Well, I'm pleased to say I've managed to grind the bevels, and I wanted to crack on and just get these knives finished and up to a certain standard. So I got all the bevels ground now. I've got all the tangs tapered on the ones I'm tapering. A few of the 4mm are going to be untapered because some people like a straight tang knife. So I'm very pleased actually with how they come out, despite the little bit of decarb we had on them. I've managed to remove all the decarb. It wasn't too big an ordeal in the end, and the finish is very nice. I've got nice crisp grind lines. Yeah, they're going to make really nice knives. So next stage for me is to start putting the handles on, or start making the scales for these, and then handle shaping, leather work, etc, etc. So anyway, that's about it for this video. I hope you found it of use. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye for now.